invited directors to take a morning breakfast session with the Institute of Corporate Directors downtown to look at a panel discussion on IT strategy, start to learn about it. So directors need to be able to understand the differences in IT strategy, where to place money, how to be able to deal with risk, how much risk the board wants to take in order to deliver what members want. Now that we have our two advisors that the Board Development Committee recommended and selected for us, Ward Chapin and Catherine Boivy have been absolutely incredible. They have done a lot of technology work. Ward and his work for the 2010 Olympics, incredible amount of 1,800 milestones that he accomplished. Catherine, in her own right, working for several of the credit unions and working on major infrastructure changes, are there to help us at every meeting, looking at not only IT and their specialty, but other parts of our board and our decision-making process to give those insights. The Board of Directors decided to send a letter to CREA, and you know, we're trying to balance member value, the things that are happening at our board, what's happening at a provincial level, and then what's happening at the national level. And members are paying dues to all organizations. We see that there's inefficiency. We see that there's overlap. There's too many boards. There's a lot of mandate creep. We need to be far more efficient at delivering the value. And so our letter to CREA was telling them about where we see the opportunities going forward of how we could work together in better governance at CREA, better communications with ourselves, that they would look at the larger boards where there's lots of resources and are the major initiators of major projects in their respective provinces and utilize that to the benefit of the entire country. This last Board of Directors meeting, we were lucky enough to have the Finance Minister, Michael de Jong, come in and give us an address. And I was really thoroughly impressed with how frank the Minister was with us, in how open they were about policy and about budget. And after I introduced him, he said something which was really interesting. He looked at our board and our advocacy efforts, and he said, this is the way that other organizations should model their efforts. We're well researched. We're not inflammatory in terms of our discourse and what we say, but we're steady, we're tried and we're true, and we're well backed. And I think that that was really appreciated by both our GR committee and the Board of Directors. The Succession Planning Committee for our CEO, they have been working around making sure that the offering of CEO compensation is marketable and competitive in the marketplace. I understand that the SPAC committee is interviewing candidates and starting to collect their findings for the next step in the CEO selection process. Our Human Resources Committee looks at the human capital that we have at the board. All of our staff have some major projects that are underway, and they're being worked pretty hard. They also have all of these other projects with other organizations. What is the value back to the real estate board and to the members? Where's the balance? And do our staff have time to explore research and development outside of the organization to look at those blind spots and see where other opportunities are that are not in the radar in our closed circuit? So the first thing we did was to look at the best practices in terms of framework for risk. And those include risks like the outfall of the tribunal decision for the Toronto Real Estate Board and how that might impact us. It might be data breaches on MLS. And how do we come up with all of the issues surrounding it, interconnectivity, how do we deal with it, how do we mitigate it, how important is those risks, and then how do we systemize that so that we are conscious about what's going on in the outside world and internally so that we're able to make the best decisions we possibly can and protect the Real Estate Board of Greater Vancouver. So the board this year, as it does, calls an in-camera session where it's just the Board of Directors and we conduct a complete review of the CEO. Aside from the review that we did internally, we look at the performance of the organization, how does that relate to the strategic plan, and how do we do better as directors in assessing those metrics.